Interestingly, War, which was the big song for Edwin Starr, was originally offered to Temptations, and it was cut in their groove. The Temptations, though, because of Barry Gordy's ways and a ball of confusion and so on and so forth, and Papa was a Rolling Stone, which had some edge, but it was groove, were basically steered clear of controversial themes. That was a practice that Barry Gordy did, which, of course, Marvin Gaye fought, and What's Going On became a landmark album, considered one of the greatest albums ever. And, of course, Stevie Wonder's run of great albums with social commentary and comments. But if Barry Gordy wasn't so stuck on being borderline sold out and such a happy face to shuffle, might have been War may have been for the Temptations, because it definitely had the pack and the punch that you could so hear Dennis Edwards just grab a hold of. You know, Edwin Starr got strong pipes. Could you imagine the Temptations' take on War? Would have been something to coming from the Temptations, but he wanted style and grace and glamour, and he wanted all that pizzazz. He didn't want his main marquee band group to be talking about social commentary. Oh, forbid if we did that. When I think about Motown, with that, as great as he is, and he's the greatest record man ever, make no mistake about it, because if a man can give you careers, 20 plus careers, year careers, decades, we can name the artist. You know him by one name, you know him by their legacy. I go with the Temptations. I can talk about Donna Ross. I can talk about the Four Tops. I can talk about the Jackson Five, the Michael Jackson. Talking about Lionel Richie Commodores. Stevie Wonder. I can go on and on. However, the reluctance to acknowledge what's going on in the world, social commentary, I do have a problem with Gordy with. I do have this. We're gonna put these blinders on about what's happening. Often than not, that's exactly how uh, quite a few, what I want to say, white listeners and some black folks like to not actually have to think about social commentary. We don't really want to know what's going on, but we kind of do, but we really don't. Let's say it close to home, and then we'll deal with it. We really don't. And that's the problem, because music is free. Music is about expression. Music is about talking about the experience, the journey, where you are, what you're doing, what you know, and where it takes you to and what it leads you to. So the thought that the Temptations had access to a song like War and were told not to do it, were dissuaded to don't do it, and it gave up to Edwin Starr is quite, one of those jarring situations where you wonder what might have been. It's not to say that Edwin Starr's version wouldn't have hit, because he really put it down. I mean, he really threw down. But what would have happened if the Temptations hadn't have been tampered with it? It was able to come out as it was. It was able to be heard. It was able to be sung by them in totality. What would have been if that had been the whole thing? What might that have been like? What might that have sounded like? When you think about the Temptations' harmonies and their cadence, and they perform that live, especially when they went from the pompadours to the afros in the 70s, and they had more of a rustic rawness when Norman Whitfield took over mainly as their producer, and then you got more of a harder edge, you got more of a groove. What might that have been? What might have you looked at the Temptations and stylings and thought to yourself, oh, this could have been something quite potent, could have been quite powerful, could have been something that was to elevate, What might that have been like, you know? So when you don't get that opportunity to take it into full display, you're kind of left in a wonder what have been like, you know. Would it have fit them really good? Yes, it would have. Would it have structured them style wise? Yes, it would have. Would have been a strong command, because one thing about artistry, and see, Gordy did prepare his artists to go on to the next, is that it would have led them to more options, more versatility, more statements. That's the thing, because the Temptations were like a strong, muscular form of vocalists. Well, all the black male music acts back then had strong muscular sounds, but Temptations definitely had this suave, but this street, and they were from the streets. That's where Gordy got them from Detroit. They was real. So why not them doing war? Imagine that. And that's a lost opportunity. And as many times as Gordy liked to recut tracks and rethreads and remakes and formula driven, they missed a golden opportunity if the Temptations had done their version of War, because that would have been something else. And that was a lost option because of him trying to be too formula driven and not willing to give them a shot to spark. Even though artists did eventually open up more Motown, but that was a lost opportunity had they been on that cutting edge. Because our social commentary never gets old, and it's always important to have a balance because you're speaking on all things in life. Please like, subscribe, welcome thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands, keep your mind clear, watch out for another. Share it if you like, and hit that membership. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. I'm out. Peace.